this is not the good attitude. We need to prepare. So what is our preparation? Our preparation is practicing the 3 trainings, Shila, Samadhi and Panya. The importance of the 3 trainings, which is the subject of my talk, is that 3 trainings are going to take us to the situation where we know and see the truth. When we know and see the truth, then we can be the real Buddhist. So Patrick has asked me to just speak for a few minutes about Pa Auk Toya. I've been at Pa Auk Toya for almost 7 years. So everyone here has heard of Pa Auk Forest Monastery? Pa Auk Forest Monastery is based on Shila, Samadhi and Panya. So most people who go to Pa Auk Forest Monastery ordain as a monk or a nun. So if we are the monk, we have 227 precepts to observe. These days that is not so common, to find the monks observing 227 precepts. So firstly at Pa Auk, very great emphasis is placed on observing the Patimokkha, observing the Shila. We have classes about it, and it's not, precepts aren't rules, or I don't think they're rules. I call precepts guidelines. They're supportive guidelines. They're support for our meditation practice. And if we are the monk, we need support. We need a lot of support. We need material support. We need the 4 requisites, food, clothing, shelter and medicine. But we need the support of the precepts. So the precepts support us in our practice of meditation as a monk. They're not punishment. They're not meant to be punishment. And they're not a stick for us to beat each other up with either. They are to support us in our meditation. So the beginning of meditation practice at Pa Auk is developing samadhi. The Buddha taught 40 different subjects to develop concentration. 30 of those subjects we can attain jhana. So in the time of the Buddha, people could practice different meditation subjects to attain jhana. And the Buddha, if you were the person who had the Buddha as your meditation teacher, he would look into your past, he would see your paramis, and he would give you a meditation object to attain jhana and practice vipassana. So we have many stories of the monk who was the jeweler in the past life. He liked to work with rubies, so the Buddha created a red lotus for him, and he could practice red kasina. There was another monk, the Buddha created a piece of white cloth for him. He was able to practice white kasina by looking at that cloth. So we don't have the Buddha as our meditation teacher. So at Pa Auk, almost everyone starts with anapana, mindfulness of breathing. And the Buddha praised anapana. He said that anapana is the principal meditation of all Buddhas, all Pacceka Buddhas, and all great disciples. And I think that's very interesting that he said that the Buddha could practice all kinds of meditation, but he said that his main meditation was anapana. Even when he was the Buddha, he still practiced anapana. And anapana is good because we don't need any special equipment. So if we practice kasinas or other types of meditation, we need to create an image in our mind, or we need to bring something up in our mind to concentrate on. This is difficult. It takes some skill to produce a kasina in your mind to concentrate on. But being aware of our breath, everybody is breathing. there's only 3 people who aren't breathing. The dead person, the unconscious person, and the person in 4th jhana. So we all have our breath. So whether we're standing, walking, sitting, or lying down, we're breathing. And there's always time to practice anapana. When we're waiting for the bus, when we're on the train, when we're doing this, when we're in the bathroom, when we're in the shower, whatever we're doing, we can practice anapana. So at Pa Auk, this is the most common meditation. There are other possibilities. Some people just can't practice anapana, and there are some other people who, because of their past parami, can start with another meditation object, but they are not so common. So anapana is practiced up to 4th jhana, so we're not having a technical discussion about meditation, so I won't go into that. Then after anapana, all yogis are encouraged to practice all the other meditation subjects. So that is 10 kasenas. So there is white kasena, red kasena, yellow kasena, black kasena. So those that don't know what I'm talking about, the kasena is a coloured mental image that you concentrate on. So there's 4 colours, there's 4 elements: earth kasena, water kasena, fire kasena, and air kasena. And then there's 2 kasenas that are not mentioned in any sutta, but they're mentioned in the Visuddhimagga, which is space kasena and the light kasena. Once you've mastered kasenas, you can practice 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th jhana. So here I will just issue a caution that there are meditation teachers out there now who say they teach 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th jhana. It is not possible unless you practice kasenas to attain those higher jhanas, because we attain those higher jhanas by removing the kasena from our mind. Anyway, other meditation subjects are asubha, which is contemplating repulsiveness. So we contemplate ourselves as different kinds of rotting corpses. The Visuddhimagga, I think, mentions 10 kinds of corpse, from a freshly dead body to a completely rotten body. We can develop jhana on this rotten corpse. So the final part of samadhi is Brahma Vihari. So Brahma Vihari literally means abode of the gods. So that is metta, karuna. Metta is loving kindness, karuna is compassion, mudita is a little difficult to translate, sympathetic joy. Mudita means being happy when other people are happy. And equanimity, upekkha. So these are taught at Pa Auk as a kind of concentration, which I don't think many people have heard of, but we can practice those meditations as a kind of concentration. So once you have perfected your concentration, you can move on to practice vipassana. So the first part of vipassana is rupa meditation. So that is seeing kalapas. Some people will know what that means. Examining kalapas. And then we move on to mentality meditation. So basically this meditation is understanding the Abhidhamma at a practical level. So many people study Abhidhamma, and if you go to Myanmar, many monks study Abhidhamma, but the Buddha wanted us to know the Abhidhamma on a practical level, because what is the Abhidhamma? The Abhidhamma is the truth about the mind and the body. If we wish to know the truth, if we wish to be the person who knows and sees the truth, we need to understand this information. So I've heard it say, in fact it's now quite common to say that the Abhidhamma is not the work of the Buddha. even if we know a little bit of Abhidhamma, we understand that only the Buddha could know this information. It is beyond any human being to know that information. And then we have confidence that that's the Buddha. So once we've got all that information, we can contemplate that as anatta, dukkha, anicca. And the Buddha said that we need to contemplate that information in 11 ways. So past, present, future, internal, external, near and far, inferior and superior, gross and subtle. Does that sound like a big job? It's a very big job. So we come across people who, because of their perfection of their paramis, and they come into this world with a vast store of good deeds from the past, and they can practice this meditation very easily. They are not common. What is more common is people who go to Pa Auk and spend many, many years doing this. And that's why we become a monk, so that we can dedicate our life to study and practice this information, because if it sounds like a big job, it is. So I think I'll leave it there. That's almost 55 minutes. Would anyone like to ask any questions?
Okay. You mentioned that right concentration is jhana. So my question is, if someone practices concentration, how do you define before you get into jhana? Is it a right concentration as well? So for example...
Okay, the Visuddhimagga mentions, it gives the example of a snake. So if we grab a snake in the middle, we know that it's got a head and we know that it's got a tail. So we can say the head, because in the sutta says right concentration is first, second, third and fourth jhana. The suttas also mention 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th jhana. 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th jhana are based on 4th jhana. So this is like the head of the snake. The tail of the snake is what they call upachara samadhi, access concentration. This is very deep concentration, but not quite jhana. Yeah.
So you're saying that could be defined as a right concentration?
Yeah, the Visuddhimagga defines that as right concentration.
Because unless you get into jhana, then you can't have right concentration. So if you define...
The Visuddhimagga defines upachara concentration as right concentration, because it is actually possible to practice vipassana with that concentration. Any other questions?
Vipassana, can you not practice before you reach that entrance level concentration? Very first, like three levels they talk. Entry level, and then proximity, concentration. So even with those two, you can still go and do and practice vipassana.
It's possible.
Yeah, but it will be without.
It's possible, but not common. Our Sayadaw, Pa Auk Sayadaw, in the past he actually used to teach vipassana without jhana, but he found that people could get started, but they would run into difficulties. So this is why he started encouraging jhana. So the suttas always praise jhana, but then commentary mentions that people in the time of the Buddha were practicing without jhana. Yeah.
So with the jhana, my understanding is once you go past the fourth,
Yeah.
your mind and body is separate, so that means that you cannot do vipassana after the fourth.
Fourth jhana is the basis for vipassana. So people ask, okay, why do we go to 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th? It's further purity. It's further purity of the mind. It's like going to the gym. You know, we go to the gym and we lift 200 kilo weight. We don't need to lift a 200 kilo weight in our house. But if we go to the gym and lift a 200 kilo weight, it make our body very strong. So if we practice 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th jhana, it make our mind very powerful. It make our mind very, very pure. So when we go back to 4th jhana, it's a better 4th jhana. Make our mind strong. It's like basically like an exercise.
So you still have to come back to the 4th.
To practice Vipassana, you have to come back to the 4th, because when we start to practice Vipassana, we are contemplating rupa, kalapas. So in 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th jhana, there are no kalapas. So if we continue practicing Vipassana, we can use 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th jhana as an object of contemplation. We can analyse those jhanas, and the more things we can analyse, the more information we have. Some other question?
So then do you say that it's not possible to gain any entry, steam entry or that level without jhana? Is it the way?
There are different interpretations of this, but the theory would say it's not necessary. It's not necessary to have jhana.
Then we come to, again, the same questions. Sorry, we need right concentration to get into that stream, but we are not actually in right concentration unless we get into jhana. So,
well, as I said, the Visuddhimagga does mention access concentration as being right concentration. The sutta doesn't mention it, but the Visuddhimagga mentions it. So do you know the Visuddhimagga? Yeah. So the sutta doesn't have practical instruction about how to practice meditation. We can't find how to meditate by reading a sutta. We need to read something like the Visuddhimagga. And it's like catching a plane to London. Would you like to go economy class, or would you like to go business class? So I just caught the plane from Singapore to Sydney in economy, and I was thinking, I wish I could go business. So if we have jhana, this is like being in business class. If we don't have jhana, it's like being in economy. It's difficult. It's difficult to make a long journey in economy class. Maybe it's okay to go to Brisbane. Do you want to go to London in economy? Or would you like to go in business?
yeah, there is the trouble, if you don't have money, then you can't buy the business class. Then you have to.
But we don't need the money to practice meditation.
No, I'm saying just when I'm thinking of going London, I don't have money to buy the business class. Then probably I have to go the other way.
Yeah. It's possible. It's possible. But whatever meditation we practice, we can't do it at home by ourselves. We need to practice with a qualified teacher. And if we practice with a qualified teacher at Pa Auk, they will definitely encourage you to attain jhana. And nowadays, we are not the people who can practice meditation very easily. In the time of the Buddha, people would meet the Buddha, they would hear one sentence, 2 sentences, and attain nibbana. So like Sariputta, Moggallana. Do we know what they heard? They met Assaji and they said, what does the Buddha say? And Assaji said, everything that arises passes away. They heard that and they attained nibbana. So has anyone attained nibbana? We just heard what Sariputta and Moggallana heard. And then there are other examples of people who heard a short talk. So Bahia Darachurya, he was the grass-skirt ascetic. He heard a paragraph, maybe 10 lines, and he became an arahat. There were other people like Super Buddha the leper. He listened to a talk for about 45 minutes and he became an arahat. So we are not this kind of person, are we? So it is mentioned that there are 4 types of person. There's the person who can become enlightened by listening to 2 lines. There is the person who can become enlightened by listening to a short talk or a medium talk. Those 2 kinds of person don't exist anymore. They were only found in the time of the Buddha. They were the persons who had very good parami. They came into the world with very good meritorious deeds. And it's mentioned in the Great Chronicles of the Buddha by Mingun Sayadaw. Some people might know that book. It's a very famous book in Myanmar. Mingun Sayadaw, he gave the story of all of those people. And they all did some meritorious service for a Buddha of the past. So when the Buddha was in cessation, they fanned him for a week, or they offered the meal, or they offered something to the Sangha. And they made the aspiration, in the future, may I meet the Buddha and realise Nibbana. So sometimes, after a very, very long time, an incalculable amount of time, they came into this world and met the Buddha and attained Nibbana. The 3rd kind of person is the person who can attain Nibbana but needs to practice. Needs to practice diligently for some time. This kind of person exists. Now, this kind of person is rare because there are not many people who want to go to Myanmar, who want to live at the Pa Auk and practice meditation. So I've been there for 7 years. Conditions are better. When I went there, conditions were difficult. And before I got there, conditions were very difficult. Now it's better. We have better accommodation, much better food. The weather hasn't changed. I don't think that can do anything about that, but the physical comforts are better. But the people who want to go there and practice for the rest of their life, they are not common. The 4th kind of person who we also find today is the person who, even if they practice, they won't realise Nibbana in this lifetime. But next lifetime, or maybe 2 or 3 lifetimes, they will realise Nibbana. So maybe in the audience, there is the 3rd kind of person and the 4th kind of person. So I was going to ask, anyone interested to go to Pa Auk? Everybody is welcome. The policy at the Pa Auk Monastery and the policy of our Pa Auk Sayadaw is that everybody is welcome. There's no form to fill out. There's no special requirements. You don't have to sign anything. Oh, you do have to sign something, yes. You have to sign a piece of paper saying that you will agree to follow our way of life. But there are no special requirements, and the Myanmar government makes it very easy to stay there. You can stay as long as you like in Myanmar and practice meditation. No problem at all. So this is itself quite rare, and I think it's a good incentive to go, because if you go to some other countries, maybe you can stay 3 months, maybe you can stay 1 month, a little bit difficult. But if you go to Pa Auk, people in the office, we have many volunteer at Pa Auk, and they do everything for the yogi. The yogi doesn't have to do anything except practice the meditation. And we have the doctor, we have the dentist, we have the food. The donor does the visa. You just take your passport to the office, and the donor does everything else. The volunteer do everything, make it possible. So I like to encourage anyone who is interested in meditation to come to the Pa Auk Sayadaw. He is still with us, and we hope he will be with us for a long time. So while he's still around, everything's good. Everything's good at Pa Auk and other Pa Auk branches. We now have 2 places is possible for the foreigner, Memyo and Mawlamyine, and you are all, most people here are Burmese, so you can go to any Pa Auk branch. Now about 30 branch in Myanmar of our monastery, so easy for you to go. If you have Australian passport, I don't know.
Apply the visa.
Well, someone has to do the visa, and the small monastery, they don't know how to do the visa, because in many, this is why we have the volunteer, because many paperwork, and must report to the police and everything, very complicated. The government, they don't like the foreigner to run around out of control in Myanmar. Must always report to the police every 2 weeks. But someone else, I don't do that, someone does that for me. But this is the foreign monk, they always know where you are. And they give you a number. So who is going to Pa Auk? Somebody. Okay, any more questions?
So which way is better to do the practice as a layman or as a monk? How do you reckon?
Up to you.
How do you?
I think monk is better, and you are Burmese, so you know that you can be a monk for 1 week or a whole life. 1 week, whole life. Some people I see lately, they come for 2 or 3 days and be a monk. Pretty ridiculous, but this is the Myanmar life. So now I'm not there for the water festival, but at the water festival we have at Pa Auk, I think easily over 1,000 people come and ordain as the monk for 1 week. In the meditation hall, they're talking on their phone, sending the text. And we have the steward at the Pindapat time. Come on. Lunch take about 2 hours. Every year more and more people come. Now in Myanmar, everybody very busy. Not so many people want to go and be the monk. We're seeing less and less. But everybody want to go for 1 week. But this is not really practicing. This is something else. This is making the merit. Okay. So, yes?
Is a famous sentence of the Buddha said, "Sons have I, wife have I, possessions have I, thus a fool cried, for not knowing that he himself is not his." And in that, one very senior bhikkhu, Venerable Veera Dhammo, Canadian bhikkhu, he's a disciple of Ajahn Chah. He explained in his talk that we are just processes, he said. Can you elaborate a bit on that?
Processes, yes. Sure. We are just mind and matter. The Buddha said there are no people. This is what is explained in the Abhidhamma. That if we read the Abhidhamma, he never mentions people, human beings, persons. He just mentioned the 4 great elements, associated materialities, 89 types of chitta, 52 cetasika. This is processes. So the mind, people think that the mind is solid. It's like a big jellyfish or something, processing information like a computer. The mind is processes, and there's only 6 processes. Eye door process, ear door process, nose door process, tongue door process, mind door process. Only 6 processes. These processes are occurring uncountable number of times per second. Great rapidity, interacting with each other. Most processes in the mind are mind door processes. We can't imagine until we practice meditation what's going on, because we are very deluded, and because they are happening so rapidly we assume that the mind is kind of solid. So I've heard of Ajahn Veera Dhammo. Yeah, I haven't met him.
He was here retreat here.
You know,
For Buddha Dhamma.
what Buddha Dhamma?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you been there?
Yes.
I've just been there for 3 weeks.
Yeah, I've been there many times.
Oh, it's a good place. Yeah. Very peaceful in the forest. So some other question?
That's mine.
Yeah.
Personal question.
Yes.
Or keep.
About me? Oh, monk doesn't talk about themselves.
Otherwise, forget about it.
I reserve the right to say no. Yes.
So what are the causes that make you for this much long, 7 years longer, monk?
I'm very happy there.
Because of the jhana or because of the vipassana jnana? Both of them? Or?
So the monk doesn't answer the question like that.
Don't worry about it. Yeah.
That is the Vinaya. The Vinaya, the monk doesn't talk like that.
Oh, yeah, because of it.
But, so of course I'm asked many, many times, why are you in Pa Auk for 7 years? I like it there. I'm happy there. I enjoy, is the foreign monk, the good support, people support. We are very lucky, we have the very good teacher. I have now, maybe I've had 5 teachers, including Pa Auk Sayadawgyi. They all speak English very well. They're all very highly educated people. They're very kind, very friendly. You can ask them whatever you like, and they can answer the question. So when the people said to the Buddha, "Oh, can I ask you the question, Bhante?" He always said, "Yes, ask me whatever you like," because he knew everything. So if people said, "Can I ask you a question?" he said, "Yeah, ask me whatever you like." And I'm very lucky because when I ask my teacher a question, they can always give me the answer. They are very highly educated people and they devote their whole life to helping the monk. Very devoted people. If you say, can I come and see you? No problem. So it's a very good situation if you wish to be the monk and study the Dhamma, study the meditation. We have the class every week about Vinaya. Very important, very complicated. We have the Dhamma talk every Sunday night in English. Not during the Vasa, but other 9 months of the year we have Dhamma talk in English. So a good place. Yeah.
Okay, will you practice the book entire all your life?
Is it my intention to practice my whole life?
Yeah, I feel it.
I hope so. I'm 53 this year. And it's a big job.
I would like to know how a meditator discern the 3 characteristics by observing the kalapa.
By observing the kalapa, we need to not just observe the kalapa, we need to analyze inside the kalapa. So kalapa is not ultimate reality. Kalapa is not Paramattha Dhamma. Kalapa is still in the concept reality. So the Buddha explained there are 2 types of reality. There is a concept reality and there is ultimate reality. So kalapa is the smallest kind of concept reality. If we can analyze inside the kalapa will disappear eventually. So kalapa in Pali means group. So the Buddha said that the 4 elements, earth, water, fire and air, and the other things that are inside the kalapa, which are taste, colour, odour, nutritive essence, these things arise and perish in a group. They arise and perish in a group. So kalapa means group. So if we can see that those kalapas are flashing on and off. But if we can see inside them, we will see that those things are not stable, that they are arising and perishing. So if we succeed in our Vipassana meditation and understand kalapas, understand the mind, we will not find a self anywhere in those things. No matter where we look, past, present, future, internal, external, etc., we will not see the self. So this is how we eventually, hopefully, realize no self. We can understand anicca because those things are not solid. They are flashing on and off. Why are they arising and perishing? Because of causes. Because of causes. This is the important part of Vipassana meditation, is understanding that things arise because of a cause. So the Buddha said there is no effect without a cause. He said, I do not see any causeless effect. So this is an important part of our meditation, to understand causes. So kalapas, they have different causes. Mental processes have different causes. So when we understand that, we will understand anicca. When we thoroughly understand those things, we will understand dukkha. The main reason for dukkha is because of delusion. And as I explained, delusion is misunderstanding something. So we think that our body is permanent, so this makes us happy to have a body. Oh, yeah, I exist, so I'm happy. And when we see things, we misapprehend them as beautiful or tasty or pleasant. So when we taste some pleasant food, food is only tasty up to here. Once it goes past here, it's disgusting. And we only have to look in the toilet in the morning, oh, there's my beautiful dinner. Not so beautiful now, and this is because of delusion that we think like this. Or we hear the beautiful music and we think, oh, that beautiful sound. But if we practice the Vipassana meditation, we will understand that the sound is just the earth element banging up against the earth element in our ear and producing that sound, and is not beautiful, it's just some process. So that is how we'll understand, in short, that is how we understand the three characteristics. So if we are the person who could very easily understand that, we probably wouldn't be here. We are the person who must practice the meditation and do that contemplation, many, many different ways. And this is what the meditation teacher at Pa Auk will help the meditator do, is contemplate things many, many different ways, many, many different exercises to try to understand not self, try to understand impermanence, try and understand suffering. Because we can't just do it by thinking about it. If we could do it by thinking about it, we would probably be the Buddha. Even the Buddha, he didn't become a Buddha by thinking. He became a Buddha by practicing meditation. This is very misunderstood now, that he didn't, walk out of the palace and sit down under a tree and go whoosh and become the Buddha. He was out in the world for 6 years after he left the palace before he became the Buddha, meditating, doing many, many things. And the night he actually practiced meditation, it's explained all the different, in the commentary, it is explained all the different meditations he did on that night to become the Buddha. Because you don't just become an arahat from zero. First you become a sotapanna, then you become a sakadagami, then you become an anagami, then you become an arahat. So it's explained that the Buddha did different contemplations to get through these 4 stages. So, some other question?
Early on it was stated that our perception of reality is in fact false, and the information we gain from our sense data is untruthful. But if
It's not that it's untruthful, we misunderstand it.
so it's not wholesome, right? So if our perception of reality is actually beneficial, as in it's catered for our survival, then why do we preach and praise the truth of reality so much?
I'm not sure what you mean.
So, as in, like, it's known that what we perceive is not the whole picture, but what we do perceive is catered and fitted for our survival, because we are a surviving species because of what we perceive.
Well, we're ordinary people, so ordinary people live in the ordinary world. You know, this, while we're ordinary people, we're living in the ordinary world. And even the enlightened person is still a human being. You know, the Buddha, even though he was the Buddha, he had health problems. You know, not many people know that, but he had health problems, he had a bad back, he used to get headaches, he had stomach problems. So he was still living in ordinary reality, even though he was the Buddha. And it is through the meditation that we can understand the ultimate reality. And when we understand the ultimate reality, this will bring an end to suffering, because suffering is really in the mind. The Buddha gives the example of I think it's the 2 arrows. So if we get an arrow shot into our foot, that's painful. But there's another kind of pain. There's the mental pain. So the arrow in the foot is physical pain, but then we make ourselves suffer in our mind. That's mental pain. So we can't end physical pain by becoming enlightened. So in the suttas, the Buddha used to say, I need to sit down. My back hurts. You know, even though he was fully enlightened, he couldn't do anything about his bad back. And he used to get headaches, and he used to have to take a break, you know, maybe stop his Dhamma talk because he had a migraine. So people say, well, if he was the Buddha, how come he had migraines? So that being enlightened doesn't end physical suffering, but it ends the mental suffering, because the mental suffering is 1,000,000 times worse than any physical suffering. And we think about all the things that happen in our life, when we lose a loved one, when we lose our property, or we lose our job. This is not physical suffering. This is mental suffering. Some more? So I want to apologize to my 2 visitors, Michelle and her auntie, because I gave you the wrong time. And the talk started at 7 o'clock, not 8 o'clock. But it's very wonderful you've come all the way here from Campbelltown to hear the Dhamma. And I know Michelle is going to go and be a nun at Pa Auk. So, a good introduction. So, any more questions? Okay, so it is the custom at my monastery to share merits for our good deeds done today. So, coming to the monastery, listening to the Dhamma, sharing the Dhamma. This is the meritorious deed, and it is only in the human world that we can do the good deeds. If we're the animal, if we're in hell, very difficult to do the good deeds. Some animals can do some small good deed, but in hell is impossible. If we're in the Deva world, maybe we can practice the Dhamma, probably not. So the Buddha said that we can share the merits of our good deeds with other suffering beings. So we'll do that now. So you can repeat after me. Idam me punyam asavakeya vaham hotu. Idam me punyam nibbanasa pachayo hotu mamma punya bhagam sabba satanam bhajema te sabe me samam Punya Bhagam Labantu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And I always finish my Dhamma talk by sharing my own aspiration for my listeners. So may you be well and happy, may you be peaceful, may you realize the Dhamma given by Buddha, and may you be free from all suffering. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Mawlamyine. On Saturday, I will be this one. Yeah. Tomorrow I go back. Myanmar.